I think the one thing that most people really don't know about me is how I got this New York City apartment and kind of the lore behind it, and how it changed my life. So let's talk my New York City apartment. I feel like for a lot of you guys, you first saw me when I did the apartment tour with Caleb Simpson. And if you didn't, back in 2022 in October, I did an apartment tour of this apartment, and it basically started my entire career. It was the first time that I really went like viral on TikTok, and it's kind of the reason that I'm here today being a content creator. If you came from my Get to Know Me video, you know that I was married at 21 and then divorced at 29 because my ex-husband and I just had kind of different goals in life. He wanted a family really young and I wasn't ready. He is the most incredible man. I have literally nothing bad to say about him. We shared a lawyer in our divorce. It was all super easy, but he's a very private person, so I do ask that you just respect his privacy in all of this. I know if I didn't have this job, I would hate for somebody to like blast me all over the internet or be talking about me. So yeah, my ex and I lived a lot of different places. We first met in Minnesota, and then eventually for his career, we moved to North Carolina. That's when I started modeling. So I would go back and forth between North Carolina and New York. That's kind of when I had my first apartment here. My first apartment was very different than this one. It was a studio in Chinatown. That's where my first 3 apartments were actually, because if you know anything about New York, if you want to be in Manhattan, the least expensive place to be, but still being close to like everything like Soho, NoHo, East Village, West Village, is Chinatown. For my work, for modeling, I would have to come to New York like a lot and kind of randomly, and it was more expensive just to get hotels each time. So we decided to rent out these studio apartments that were fully furnished, and it made my life way easier. I could just come here, unpack, keep things here, and yeah, it was also cheaper. New York was never really my main home during that time. It was either Minnesota or Charlotte or Los Angeles. That's where my 3 dogs were. They were with my ex-husband, and this was more of just like a placeholder for work. I'd come here for work. I would leave my suitcase. It never really felt like a true home to me. My ex-husband played for the NFL, so that's why we moved around a lot, from Minnesota to Charlotte, Charlotte to Houston, Houston to Los Angeles, and we never really had a home in New York City until he retired, and then we decided it would be great for me to be in the place that I worked, and since he didn't have any other obligations in any other state, we would finally live here together. He found this apartment and fell in love. It was big enough for the 3 dogs. He's really tall, so he kind of needed a space that didn't make him feel like he was in like a box, which were all of my other apartments in New York. So we rented this for 1 year. Right when we were about to move, and I have a video on my YouTube channel about this, but right when we were about to move here, actually into this apartment, my dogs were being driven to New York from California, and my oldest baby, Pooh Bear, who was my dog since high school, she passed away unexpectedly of a heart attack on the drive. And we were sitting in this apartment actually, and sorry, and we got a call at 5 a.m. that Pooh Bear had passed away. Sorry, this is still really hard for me to talk about because she was like my baby, and anyone dealing with like the loss of a pet, like you grieve for years. So sorry if I'm like, but we got a call at 5 a.m. that Pooh Bear had passed away about 4 hours outside of New York in the car. And so my first experience, unfortunately, in this apartment was going to a vet down the street and picking her up. Sorry, that stuff is really painful for me to talk about still. Did not expect to cry to that. Before our dog passed away, we were already kind of talking about divorce. We wanted, again, very different things. He wanted to be a young dad. I wasn't ready for kids yet. And so with the passing of our dog, we really decided that this was kind of the perfect time just to start new. He moved back to California to be with his family, and he told me just to keep the rest of the lease on this apartment because the only place that I could really work was New York. So then this apartment became my new home. I think the one question I get asked more than anything else is, how did you afford this apartment before you were ever in content? And in full transparency, I didn't. It was my ex-husband's, it was his money. He was the one on the lease. He was the one who could afford it. I could not. During this time, I was also planning my move home back to Minnesota. I could not afford this apartment, and I knew I could not re-sign the lease. So I was looking at places to rent in Minnesota. I was looking at moving in with my parents for a little while. I was looking at jobs. So then this brings me to the apartment tour. I had 2 weeks left on the lease of this apartment, and that is when Caleb Simpson asked to tour it, and it went massively viral. And I didn't know what to do because I was going viral for an apartment that, number one, I could not afford, and number two, I was already packing up, moving out. I had boxes in the hallway. That's why it looks so clean, by the way, because most of my stuff was in boxes. it's crazy to think about now. I literally remember sitting on the phone with my mom in my bed right there and talking to her and being like, Mom, I really want to do content creation. I really, really, really want to do this. I used to want to be on SNL when I was little. Like, that was my biggest dream ever. So this has always kind of been something that I'm really interested in. But I never thought I would ever have the chance to. Like, I never, ever, ever thought I would have a moment where I went viral like the apartment tour. All I knew was all of these people had found me online, and the only thing that they knew about me was that I lived in this apartment. And that seemed like the only thing that they cared about, which, of course, they don't know me yet. So, like, of course, this is a beautiful apartment. It's all I would care about too. That's not like shade or anything. I just remember thinking if I give this apartment up, I could miss my chance at getting to do this like as a career and getting to make funny videos and getting to like be a content creator. So I sat with my mom and I talked for hours about like, okay, do I have enough money saved up to rent this apartment for 1 more year? And what type of financial risk is that? And do I think that I could actually make this happen? After like a ton of thought and a ton of talking to my parents and my friends and my family and like crunching numbers, I decided to make a huge risk and take all of the money that I had saved from modeling and reinvest it into 1 more year here at this apartment, and hope that I could work hard enough where I could turn this like content, filming funny videos, and just the lore of this apartment and people's interest in it into a career in content that could basically get me to a point where I could afford to live here. And when I tell you guys I was terrified, I was terrified. I was so scared that I had made the wrong decision. I was just scared that I would fail, and then I would be also in a place where I would have to move back in with my parents, and I'd have no really like expendable income to spend on renting a place or spend on ever investing in like a car or house or anything like that. My ex was also kind enough to co-sign for me because obviously I didn't have the type of like funding needed to actually sign the lease. But he made it very clear that this was my decision, my money. He was just doing me a favor by co-signing. And then I started working really, 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 really hard. That's why I started posting 5 times a day, every day. I wanted to make it. I really, really wanted to do this. Like I had one goal, and it was, Haley, you bet on yourself. You better do it, because if you don't do it, you are going to be screwed. And then within like a couple months of starting in content, I was able to afford the apartment, which I am eternally, eternally, eternally grateful for, because I could not have done it on my own. It's you guys. Thank you for making my dream actually come true. You guys changed my life. Like truly, no cap, you guys changed my life. You made this possible. You gave me my dream. So thank you for trusting me with that. And truly, I owe you guys the world for that. So I hope I'm doing right with my platform. That's like my biggest, you guys gave me my dream. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, that is the lore of the New York City apartment. I'm endlessly grateful to my ex-husband for being so supportive in my dreams. I'm endlessly grateful to you guys. I'm endlessly grateful to my family and friends for like being in my videos and helping me out and just being there for me through all of these decisions. One of the biggest things I learned was bet on yourself. If you have a gut feeling that you really want to do something or you're really passionate about something, take the risk. Because if I had just like played it easy and moved back to Minnesota, moved in with my family, I would never be here and I would never be living this life. Okay, now back to the regularly scheduled programming of comedy videos, because they're my favorite to film. Thanks for listening to me yap. And yeah, if you have any other questions, like feel free to ask them, because I'm an open book and I really want you guys to get to know me. So yeah, I love you guys. Bye.